Get ready, be ready, stay ready for the Grand Reunion 2025. St. Andrews High School alumni, stay locked in for plans, interviews, and events. Save the date, July 6th to 12th, 2025. Be counted and see you there. Get ready, be ready, stay ready for the Grand Reunion 2025. St. Andrews High School alumni, stay locked in for plans, interviews, and events. Save the date, July 6th to 12th, 2025. Be counted and see you there.
It's reunion time, it's reunion. It's reunion, St. Andrews reunion. You don't want to miss, no you don't want to miss this reunion, St. Andrews reunion. We'll be having fun, we'll be jamming, we'll be liming, socializing, meeting friends, cooking up, we like family. So come on down to Dominica in 2025 from July 6th through July 12th. St. Andrews a foundation, it's our legacy, all striving, all achieving, let's go.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining. I am Everton Robin, a member of the Public Relations team for the St. Andrews Reunion Planning Committee. As you may already know, we are staging this live in an effort to promote the St. Andrews High School Past Student Reunion, which is scheduled for July 6th to the 12th, 2025. The St. Andrews High School came as an answer to prayer for hundreds of parents and students who have been enduring the difficult task of traveling to Roseau and other parts of Dominica to attend secondary school. St. Andrews, our alma mater, was strategically located in the former youth camp facility at Londonderry, that's between Wesley and Marigot, and has seen many principals, many, as we call them, headmasters, teachers, principals in its lifetime, from its inception to in 1979 to 2006. Of all the principals, none has made a significant impact on shaping the school's method and determining the school modus operandi, as he would say, than the person who I'm going to interview today. No one has done more to position the St. Andrews High School in becoming a top contender in the CXC exam and the vocational training as the person who is with me today. Under his management, we were able to boast of the best science lab, and the best agricultural program in any secondary school in Dominica. St. Andrews alumni, Facebook viewers, friends, and well-wishers, please help me welcome none other than Mr. David Edwards. Mr. Edwards, welcome.
Thank you, Banky. I'm humbled by those words. Let me say good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your many listeners. It's a pleasure to be engaged at a forum that involves the St. Andrews alumni. So I'm looking forward to a very productive discussion.
Thank you. So, Mr. Edwards, let's start by asking, how are you doing?
I'd say I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I left teaching in 1992. That is what I left St. Andrews and moved on to be the first Peace Corps director of Dominica. And then from there, I moved on to the Ministry of Education to manage the educational transformation at the national level. And in 2004, I moved out of the ministry. And my tenure at the ministry was terminated in 2004. And then I embraced the vocation of a regional consultant. And between 2004 and 2015, I spent a hell of a lot of time outside Dominica. And since 2015, I've been back in Dominica operating as a part-time regional consultant, focusing on strategic planning, policy development, project management. Those are my key niche areas today.
All right, that's very, very accomplished. I remember you from being a little boy in the village of Wesley, as I mentioned to you some time ago. I remember that we stayed with you guys in Roseau for a while. I was a little boy, and I always know you to be a very focused person, very serious about what you attempt to do. And so the question I want to ask you is, when you agreed to become the principal of the St. Andrews High School, what was your main motivation?
Well, I saw it as an opportunity to strengthen my contribution to the catchment area. Being a West man, being a Northeast man, I saw it as an opportunity to strengthen my contribution. I had been at the school for 3 years prior to that. The year prior to being appointed principal, I had served as deputy principal. And at the end of that year, during which I served as deputy principal, I'd really been preparing to return to university.
Mm-hmm.
And it surprised me when I was offered the principalship of the school, because that was not something I'd aspired to at that point. And so I was thinking, okay, now I've contributed 3 years. It's time that I get back to university. And I'd actually been thinking of that, returning this time, going to the UK to do more academic work. And then I was offered the principalship. I saw it as an opportunity to strengthen my contributions to the catchment area. And so I gave it my best shot.
What did you study at university? That was at Caville, right?
No, I was at Mona.
Mona, oh yeah.
I had spent 4 years at Mona, largely focusing on chemistry. Mm-hmm. I had also done some specialized biological courses, physiology, parasitology, but over 70% of my studies over the 4 years was really chemistry, organic, physical, and inorganic. and that explains my passion for the
For the
sciences.
science, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So this leads me to my next question, Mr. Edwards. After you accepted the job at St. Andrews, what did you have in mind? Like, what was your game plan, and did you really get to accomplish those goals?
Okay. Once given that job, I happily accepted the challenge. I was young and inexperienced, but I accepted the challenge. I had learned quite a bit during the previous 3 years, and I saw my primary goal as the education of the students. I saw that as my primary responsibility.
Mhm.
Now, as you know, I had had my secondary experience at the grammar school, and that
Mhm.
was my yardstick. So I wanted to ensure that the education product that was offered at St. Andrews was on par with that offered at grammar school, convent, and SME.
Mhm.
That was my ambition. I wanted to I wanted to ensure that we didn't put students in a situation where at the end of their experience, they would be saying, look, if I'd gone to grammar school, I would be better off. If I'd gone to SMA, I'd be better off. So my primary interest was given a competitive education product to the students. And that was my goal. And and there was something in it for me. I wanted to show that I could perform as well.
Mhm. Very good, very good. I've been there from the very beginning. I remember after the hurricane, we were, we were going to school, grammar school, in Roseau, and then after the hurricane, they opened the school in St. Andrews, and it became, as I said, as an answer to prayer because many of us were going through a lot of tribulation going to school in Roseau. Personally, I think I changed about 6 to 7 different homes, between first form and third form in high school. It was very, very, very difficult, especially when we have to get up in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to sit on the trucks and to go down to Roseau, to start school at 8 o'clock in the morning was very difficult. So that St. Andrews was really an answer to prayer. The next,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. The next question I wanted to ask you is, you were considered to be one of the best principals St. Andrews ever had. As I said, we had maybe I didn't count, but I think it had to be over 6 different principals passed through
Mhm,
St. Andrews, and
mhm.
you left a mark as one of the best. What do you attribute your success as a high school principal to? What was your what would you think was your main factors that help you to be such a good principal of that high school?
Okay. Well, having set my agenda for the institution, um, I concentrated on building a team approach. I wanted to ensure that the staff uh, felt that they had my support. I wanted to ensure that the environment in which they operated was one with which they were happy, one with which they felt appreciated. I wanted to ensure that they were motivated because you can't have change in education without having an effective staff. And
Mhm.
even at that stage in my life, I understood that. So one of my main strategies was to help build a highly motivated staff. And I'd learned some lessons along the way as to how to motivate adults.
Mhm.
And I think we were pretty successful at that. And that was an ongoing undertaking. It was not a destination. As the
Mhm.
environment changed, I had to come up with new tactics. So we we concentrated on securing an effective team of teachers. Now, the next thing that because
Yeah,
I
look like we
understood
having a
that
little
in
glitch.
discipline,
We having a little slowness here.
yeah, yeah. So discipline was another issue because we had to ensure that we spent as little energy as possible combating indiscipline. I mean, when
Mhm.
teachers are teaching, they don't want to be disrupted by the issue of indiscipline. So I wanted to create a organizational culture in which students understood that they were disciplined, right? And
Yeah.
then the next strategy was offering a good curriculum and improving that to reflect the needs of the students and the aspirations of students. Now, I think we're pretty successful at those three objectives and those three strategies. Now, in terms of attributing success, one of the things I attribute that to is the fact that one, I understood the culture of the catchment area. Being
Mhm.
someone
Yep.
from Wesley,
Yep.
I understood the culture of the major catchment areas, Wesley and Marigot, and that was a huge asset. The teachers were also primarily from the catchment area. They
Mhm.
understood the culture. And so it was easy to communicate our values, our aspirations, and to discuss our issues because we understood the culture.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
then we got into a business model whereby we recruited our best graduates to fill vacancies. Uh, that had two advantages. One, they understood the culture, and the fact that they were graduates of the school, it meant that they understood the organizational culture of the institution.
Mhm.
And as a consequence, they were best positioned to meet the needs of the student. Other attributes that contributed towards our success as a team, uh, the fact that I was prepared to take a risk. I was prepared to take bold decisions.
Mhm.
I was adamant in making the board understand that I was running the institution and I was
Yeah.
going to run it if as long as I'm the principal, I was going to run the institution. And I was not going to have the institution, I was not going to have um, a situation where my principalship was micromanaged. So I was very firm on that. I was not going to have my principalship micromanaged. I was the principal and I was going to run the school.
Yep. That. But as you mentioned that, I realized that were you the principal when I got hired because I just come
Yes.
from finishing my CXC exam, and I did fairly well, and then I became a teacher at the school, and I worked there for a number of years. I think you were either you were teaching or you were the principal already.
Yeah, it was one of those. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I don't remember clearly, but yeah, I remember
Yeah.
when you came on. Yes,
Yeah, but that worked very at the time. I just wanted a job, but
yes,
that now I'm looking at what you said, and that made so much sense because I was able to just fall in line with the
yeah,
students, and
mhm,
did well with them, made really good relationships and things like that. So that
absolutely,
was a very very
absolutely.
wise approach. Yeah, and not
Yeah,
only me, but we had quite a few other students who continued teaching at at
absolutely.
the year they
And,
graduated.
yeah, and you may recall when we were the first ones to hire graduates from Cuba.
Yeah.
So When people like Peter Alfred returned from their studies in Cuba, they were hired. Rock Bruno, Frank Newton, and Peter Alfred. They were all from the Kent area because Frank had some Marigot connections as well, and he was quite acquainted with Marigot.
Yeah.
And that was an asset in the sense that we were increasing our pool of graduates. Now I can tell you at the time the Eugenia Charles government was not happy with that. And the board was the board was very sensitive to the interests of Eugenia Charles, because you may recall that her policy was not to accommodate Cuban graduates.
Yep, I remember that.
But we hired the graduates, and I made to the board, and they gave me their support, and we had these improved technical skills. You may recall Frank Newton was exceptionally good as a teacher of agriculture.
Yeah.
Rock Bruno would head the language department with French and Spanish, and allowed us to leap forward in those areas.
Yeah. I think St. Andrews had a very unique culture, and we did extremely well, and it was growing and becoming better and better.
Absolutely. And as you said at the inception, we became the premier school in science education.
Yep. If I understand well, we did have one of the best labs in the entire
we did have the best lab. We did have the best lab, the best equipped lab, and I remember the principal of what was then the Clifton Dupigny Community College. I remember him telling me that you could identify the students who were from St. Andrews just by the skill level that they displayed in the lab. They were way above other students.
Yep. At this point, I want to also mention Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips was also a really good chemistry teacher. We used to call him Perroquet.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, he was.
Yes,
he was very good at explaining things, and I think he made me love chemistry. So shout out to Mr. Phillips.
But he didn't serve on them. He did not serve on the principalship. He left prior to me taking over the leadership.
Oh, he did? Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, but some of these guys were very good in the science lab. Yeah. A lot of people saw you though as a very strict principal. You were seen as the person who never made much jokes. Was that intentional? Or was that was just something that you flowed into easily in your leadership role?
Probably a mix of both. Some people still find me that way until they get to know me. So it was probably a mix of both. I mean, it is true that I placed a very high premium on discipline. I mean, I just, my posture was, look, students have 5 hours at school, except for the post 1 o'clock period. And during those hours at school, they had to get the best. They had to get the biggest bang. We couldn't afford to be wasting time on indiscipline issues. And so yes, I mean, I know I was perceived as very stern.
They even gave you some names. I think you got some names because of that.
Yes. And most of those I learned after I'd left the institution. The students, boys were good boys.
Yep. But all in all, it worked very well for the institution because that seriousness was sort of fed into our approach towards towards teaching and towards
Yeah.
learning, and that
Yeah.
actually helped the school in a very positive way. So
Yes.
thank you very much for that. The
Yeah.
next question I had for you is, what are some of the greatest achievements you would consider as a principal of the high school? What are some of the things you consider as your great achievements?
Well, one was uh, developing a whole ecosystem that gave stakeholders confidence in what was being offered. And those stakeholders, primarily the students and their parents. Uh, Creating an environment where teachers felt that they had a stake, and they were committed, and they took their jobs seriously. That was very important to me. Implementing a curriculum that was competitive. As I recall, when I joined the school, we were still in the GC mode, and it was my job to expand that CXC curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
and to ensure that the various aspects of the curriculum were made available to students, so that there was support for diversity of interests. So not only was science students' interests and appetite sustained, but you also had a situation where students who were pursuing business, like accounts, principles of business, those areas were also available to students. You had typewriting, that later morphed into electronic document production and management, and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So mathematics, we were able to boost that by leaning on support from the British VSO, voluntary service overseas. We brought in specialists like people like the young Paul Hemming, who came from Warwick with a
Yeah.
master's in mathematics. Prior to that, we had a young gentleman whom I don't remember now, and then so we were able to bring in teachers from the UK. We brought in a few of them, a number
Mm-hmm.
of them from the UK, and creating that environment in which they were quite happy to work. So the getting that a broad curriculum implemented and supported was one of the things I considered our greatest achievement. And of course, we had the extracurricular aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Students became very competitive in debates. They became very competitive in sports. So you were producing not only students who were academically trained, but we produced students who had a broader perspective on education and training. Now, one of the things you may recall is that at the inception of the institution, there was a technical wing in which students wore a different uniform.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I did as principal was to standardize the uniform, because my position was we have one school, we'll have one
Yeah.
uniform, and I didn't want students in the tech tech wing area to feel they were second class citizens and be treated so by staff. So I said one uniform, and I think that worked well.
Yep, I think you did quite a bit of things there that really made a difference. You know, as I said, and I reiterate that I think your principalship was really one of those that stood out in the life of the school. As you were speaking, I was just thinking about that technical wing, the vocational section that we had at the school. I believe at the time when during that time of the school, the vocational wing being important, I don't know if there was a lot of like, I don't want to say a lot of emphasis in terms of a community, but as I look at what's happening right now in the academical world, it seems like technical knowledge is becoming maybe just as important as academical knowledge. Do you see that way? Or
Oh, yeah,
I'm kind of
absolutely.
trying to ask the question slightly in the sense that if you were to do this again, would you have pushed that vocational section more, seeing that it's becoming more and more important for skill-based jobs are becoming more and more easier to get?
Yeah, my answer is yes. If I were to do this again, I would increase the emphasis on the skill training component, and the reason is because of current labor market trends. So for example, you have a growing digital economy, and there's need for a wide variety of digital skills, because the digital economy is, for example, the best hope for Dominique at this point in time. So if I were to do this again, I would put a lot of emphasis. I would increase the emphasis on skill training. You also have a deficiency in traditional skills like plumbing and electricity and construction management, and general construction skills. The reason why that is important today is because you have a large number of secondary graduates who are not able to access work. And so, and at the same time, you have deficits in the skill pool.
Mhm.
So there's certainly a need to revitalize that technical vocational training, to ensure that both young men and young women come out with a wider range of skills that can allow them to fit into the opportunities offered by the job market. And it's not only doing that, it's not only for the job market, but there's no harm in a doctor being able to do his own plumbing at home,
Mm-hmm.
or being able to do his own electricity at home. And there's no harm in explaining construction technology to students, whether it's wood, whether it's masonry, whether it's tiling. These are all skills that can reduce your expenditures if you consider that a home is the biggest investment you have.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from sending your children to university, a home is the biggest investment that you have. But after construction, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
And if you have certain skills, those negates the need to call in a plumber. Those negate the need to call in electrical technician. Those, you want to retile your kitchen. If you can tile, you're saving significant money. If you can fit in the cupboards in the kitchen, you're saving significant money. And what we have is a situation where inflation has grown faster than disposable income. And as a consequence, any opportunities for saving
Yeah. That's right.
would benefit the person who is earning a salary.
Yep, I totally agree with you, especially as especially young men who eventually want to have families and all that. They need
Absolutely.
to be very good at doing basic things in their homes that could
Yes.
save money for the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, agriculture as well. Knowing how to grow your vegetables at home. Yeah.
I'm tempted, as you mentioned there, to go off a little and ask the question: what on earth is going on with agriculture in Dominica right now?
Um, let's put it this way. The agricultural sector has been neglected.
Mhm.
And that's a reflection of policy deficits. So you don't have a adequate policy framework to support agriculture, and as a consequence, in the minds of Dominicans who are resident, it has been it has been treated as a industry of the past.
Mhm.
Big mistake, big mistake. Once you neglect agriculture, you are going to increase your food bill, your
Mhm.
food import bill.
Yeah.
Once you neglect agriculture, you're going to import your food. You're going to increase your food import bill. That's one. Secondly, once you neglect agriculture, you're going to destroy the rural economy in
Mhm.
Dominica. Once you destroy the rural economy, that creates major problems at the macro level, unemployment problems.
Yep.
So this, the answer to your question is uh, neglect of the sector, major policy deficits, the absence of a policy framework, the absence of support services for farmers. Those have contributed to the demise of the agricultural sector. I don't know how much longer this situation can be allowed to continue because
Yeah.
in short we couldn't afford it. And we have every reason to resuscitate agriculture because we have rich soil, we have an abundance of water, abundance of rainfall, and an abundance of sunshine.
Yeah. By the way, I haven't been to Dominic in a while. Does the NEC have an agricultural program that they teach at their school?
I'm not sure. I really don't know the answer to that question.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, anyway, let's get back to some of the questions relating to St. Andrews here. And I wanted to use a word that I know you always use, Mr. Edwards, is the word pet
Let me
peeve.
hear it. Let me
Pet
hear it.
peeve. What was your biggest pet peeve? And can you give us the name of two students who you will never forget at St. Andrews? And of
Uh,
course, you're free to mention Halima Abdullah if you want. She'll be fine with that.
well, you've mentioned one, so I only need to mention one more. That's a very tricky question because I think this is live, right? This is live, Banker.
Huh?
This is live, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So once you've asked me to mention two students, then everyone will be listening to hear whether I'm going to call their names. So
Yep.
so I'm going to be very careful here because I don't want to lose the many friends that I've made at St. Andrew. You've mentioned you opted to mention Halima. All I'll say is I remember Halima. I like Halima. I remember her, right? I remember her very well. I remember from the day her mom brought her to school, and she was very energetic and very assertive. She was small but very assertive. And Halima, I don't want to lose our friendship because I described you as being small at the
She'll be
time.
fine with that. I know her well.
She was very assertive, and that's one of the things I remember about her. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember a lot of students. I
Mhm.
remember quite a lot of the students, and I'm so happy when I meet them. And I remember students who I remember some students who had certain attitudes where we had to step in and sometimes take some strong arm measures, and some of them are today enforcing the law. So I remember those students. I don't think Kenneth Bruno is going to arrest me if I mention his name. every time every time Bruno and I meet, we have a good laugh. He's such a cool gentleman. And I mean, I really enjoy meeting him every time we do. And there are many others. I remember students who were competitive, students who
Mhm.
cried when they got less than 100.
Yeah.
I remember those students. I remember students who were adamant about getting the highest marks. I remember these students who were very competitive in mathematics, very competitive in science. I remember those who were very competitive in sports, those who were the fast bowlers. Of course,
Mhm.
remember Smith
Yeah.
Telemark.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, and I'm so happy to see how these students have continued their lives. And
Mhm.
when you asked me that question, one of the students I remember was uh, um, he was Thomas, Kelvin Thomas.
Calvin. Okay.
Yeah, because when I returned to Dominica, it broke my heart to repeatedly see Kelvin at the
Mhm.
market, and then he had lost his arm.
Mhm.
He had lost an arm because he had participated in behavioral patterns that we don't uphold,
Mhm.
and he had lost his arm as a consequence. And every time I'd meet him in the market, I'd reflect on our attempt to assist him at St. Andrews. And Noah Surgington, if he's listening to this,
I'm sure he is.
no one knows no one knows the story because
I think we have a little glitch here. I'm not sure if that's coming across live.
it, it, it,
Yeah, we're having a glitch. It seems like a network issue, so I'm not hearing what you're saying. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
when I would go to the market on Saturday mornings. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Because I just experienced a glitch where I could not hear you for a while.
hey, are you there, Banky?
Yeah, I'm here. I
Banky?
can let's see here. Looks like there's a network issue. Okay, it seems like there's some network issues on David's end. Wrigley, are you there? See if I can get my engineer back here to do something. Yeah, Wrigley, can you play some, put some ad in there while David try to get
Yeah.
the internet back?
All right, people, just give us a minute here. Let me see if I can get back Mr. Edwards on.
Get ready, be ready, stay ready for the Grand Reunion 2025. St. Andrews High School alumni, stay locked in for plans, interviews, and events. Save the date, July 6th to 12th, 2025. Be counted and see you there.
Okay.
Are we back
One
on?
moment.
Are we back on,
Okay,
Banky?
David, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, yeah, I think we had a little network glitch a while ago. So some of the things you said I did not get, and I'm not sure if it was broadcasting live, but I could not hear the last few words that you said. I think the last thing you mentioned was about Conley Surgerington. You were going to tell us a story. Noah Surgerington, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I was saying that Noah knows the story with Kelvin Thomas, otherwise known as Kitten. um, and you know he's one of our alumni whom I reflected on for a long time, because we had attempted to help him and save him. I think this was an example of a child who had not, a student, sorry, who had not had enough support from home. And I thought we could have done more at school to get him off the street. So we got into a program of having him return to school after lunch. Which probably was not as effective as we might have hoped for. But I don't recall exactly how this unfolded. I think I may have left him at the school, and Noah can remind me of that. But in the end, Kelvin did not really benefit from St. Andrews, and that was one of the examples that stayed in my mind until his untimely death. So talking about students whom remember, yeah, that's the case I remember. And sometimes I reflect and say, could we have done more to help him at the point? Because when you think back, when you reminisce on it, you realize that he didn't have a mother, he didn't have a father figure at home. And I'm not sure he had a mother. I know he was growing up with his grandmother.
Okay.
And I think, and that's an example of someone who fell through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
But Noah can remind me of the rest of the story, because as far as I recall, I left them at St. Andrews when I resigned to move on to the Peace Corps.
Okay. Yeah, that was in what year, David? What year did you leave?
I left in 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
But of course, Kitten can't hear me from where he is now.
Yep.
So I took the liberty to elaborate on this.
I mentioned that name. All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now you asked about my thief pet. One of the biggest concerns I had at St. Andrews was the general state of the physical plant.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know you can have education under a tree. You could offer university programs under a tree, much less secondary programs. But I was always desirous and hopeful of seeing a school plant, that was more comfortable for both students and staff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never satisfied with the accommodation facilities for the staff. I felt I dreamt of the day when we would have a better staff room,
Mm-hmm.
to create an environment that was more conducive. And I have to compliment the staff for tolerating the conditions under which they work, and the efforts that they exercise. The auditorium was a facility I did not want to use for classes. I
Mm-hmm.
always felt it was not good to, it was not in the interest of students to have them in that auditorium, in that hot auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
I always dreamt of improving the bathroom facilities for the students. So those were things that hung on my mind throughout my tenure, and things that I could not do much about because the Methodist Church didn't have the funds.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically using facilities that had been inherited from the youth camp. And yes, we had the best lab facilities on the island, so that was great. We also, by the time I left, we also had operationalized a new 8 classroom block,
So
and
that
that
was during your time there?
yes, and that
Okay.
was great as well. But
Mhm.
even when I left, the administrative facilities for staff were less than desirable, although they were tolerated by the staff, and the auditorium was still being used.
Yeah.
And in short, and that goes on to another stage in my life. Uh, those those issues were sufficiently strong for me to use the first opportunity I got to develop what is now the Northeast Comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
That was my prime motivation. But
Okay.
that's another story.
Okay. So you were instrumental in getting that school
Oh,
set up?
absolutely,
Oh yeah, I
absolutely.
didn't know that.
I
Okay.
developed the project document for it.
Okay.
I conceptualize it with the support of Trinidadian architects and the Ministry of Common Works,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the policy support of the Edison James administration. It was funded using European funds. I wrote every word out of that. It was the fastest project document I developed,
Oh, that's good
and
information.
it's
I've never
and
known that.
yeah, well, yeah, and that would take another, yeah, but that was my motivation to
Okay.
give the children of the Northeast what when I had the public discussions on it, I describe it as a state of the art institution because I had been recruited by the Ministry of Education under the Edison James administration
Mm-hmm.
to lead the transformation of the education sector. And we had built, as a project manager, we built the Grand Bay Secondary School. We built the Cassibru Secondary School. So all these were done under my office. Then we transformed the Portsmouth Secondary School to a modern day plant, and we rehabilitated Isaiah Thomas. And then I said the best for last. When
Mm-hmm.
Minister Ron Green called me to a meeting with the EU,
Mm-hmm.
and the Edison James administration said, okay, we need to relocate St. Andrews because it's in the flight path of the
Mm-hmm.
planned airport. I jumped on the project, conceptualized, developed the whole project document, and the rest is history. Actually managed construction
Oh
up to
yeah.
60% completion
That's
before I
good. That's good to know. I only went there once when I visited Dominica a few years ago. I know they have a really great like an auditorium. What
oh
the
yeah, oh
design
yeah,
of that place is really,
oh
really, really,
yes,
yeah.
oh yeah. It when it was conceptualized, I'm not sure how well it is maintained now because I haven't been there for a little while. But I mean, uh, I worked extensively in the region, and people who visited Dominica from CXC and elsewhere, they would talk about that school
Yep.
because it was one of the best designs in the region.
Yep, it's very good. And the whole concept of education in Dominica, then and now, I know it's a discussion by itself
Yeah.
because there's so much that could be said where education and the direction in which it's going, is
Hmm.
concerned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so here's another question for you. You you got various names at St. Andrews, as I said before, and one of the names you got was the mole. Remember the mole? So can you still explain the concept of the mole?
Yeah, that takes another. But I tell you what, though, the mole, this concept in chemistry
Mhm.
is one of the fundamental concepts that students have to understand.
As
They, they,
as you articulating those words, David, I could hear so many students saying, "This is how David spoke so many years ago." This articulation and the way of expression, So yeah, I'm eager personally to hear the story of the mole myself.
yeah, it's one of the fundamental concepts in chemistry. And I mean, to discuss the mole, we'd have to have another session. But the my approach was to let students understand how important that concept is and how it transcends the whole chemistry curriculum. And once students got an understanding of that, they were fired up and they were motivated to go into chemistry and biochemistry and those areas. But it also allowed them to understand the rationale behind equations.
Mm-hmm.
And it also allowed them to understand the problem solving approach they use in calculations in chemistry. And
Very
when you couple the mole with the concept of the periodic table, then chemistry becomes a piece of cake.
It is so interesting. That's what made me like chemistry. That whole area, the periodic table and the molar calculation and all that stuff. That was
Yes,
just such an amazing and interesting concept.
yes, and so once our students understood that, then moving on to A-level chemistry was very easy. The physical chemistry for them was very easy. The inorganic chemistry and all the calculations, those are very easy. So these concepts are pillars, because the thing about things like chemistry and stuff, yes, you can commit definitions to memory, but if that's as far as you get, you're going to be challenging the subject because you are not able to do the practical applications. You're not able to do the calculations. You're going to be lost in the woods in the labs when it comes to calculations.
Yep.
And so the story of the mole, as remembered by students, it reflects my conceptual approach to the teaching of chemistry and making it something that was digestible for students.
Yep. Very, very interesting. Well, let me just say for the benefit of those that may be joining us late and listening to us right now, I'm talking to Mr. David Edwards, who was a past principal of the St. Andrews High School. And we are just having a chit chat because he has definitely been one of the most outstanding principals and the most accomplished, I maybe dare say, that took St. Andrews from its early stages and made it one of the outstanding schools in the country of Dominica. And we are doing all this because we are planning a grand reunion to be held next year, 2025, in the month of July, from the 6th to the 12th. We are expecting hundreds of students to gather back in the country of Dominica on the northeast of the island. This hopefully will be one of the biggest reunions that our northeast or maybe Dominica would have seen in a long time. So we are calling on all our past students from the St. Andrews High School to visit our Facebook page at St. Andrews. It is St. Andrews High School Dominica Facebook page. visit that page, fill up our contact information form, and so we could know how to reach you, and we know whether you're coming, and we could make accommodation for you. One of the highlights we have at the reunion is a really great, a grand banquet that we are planning to have. We also planning to have a day when we give back to the community, where all our doctors and nurses and professionals who are living in the diaspora will give back in their communities, in their field of expertise. We also planning things like a sports day and a cookout, and it's going to be a time of fun. All right, so please visit the Facebook page for the St. Andrews High School past students and fill up the form. Let us know you're coming. So far, we have almost 400 persons who said that they are planning to come. So our Northeast is going to be buzzing with activities. I also said to the Dominicans, get ready, because we are bringing some economy activities to the area. So please prepare for that, and don't be left out. Be counted. All right, as we make plans to have such a grand activity in Dominica next year. Yep. Well, Mr. Edwards, thank you very much. I wanted to jump into a question or two concerning the reunion that we are planning to have. But before I do so, I wonder if Wrigley is still on there. He could play us that quick little song that we posted on Facebook that has, I think, almost 5,000 hits. Wrigley, are you there?
It's reunion time, it's reunion. It's reunion, St. Andrews reunion. You don't want to miss, no, you don't want to miss this reunion, St. Andrews reunion. We'll be having fun, we'll be jamming, we'll be liming, socializing, meeting friends, cooking up, we like family. So come on down to Dominica in 2025, from July 6 through July 12. St. Andrews a foundation, it's our legacy, all striving, all achieving, let's go.
All right, Wrigley, thank you very much.
A lot of talents there.
Wrigley is a calypso enthusiast, and he always liked to do these little creative things.
Right.
And, he sent it to me the other day and said, "Banker, what do you think about this?" So I put it out there on Facebook.
Right.
He guys said, "Banker, what are you doing?" So but it was good. I know him well enough to know he was not going to
absolutely
be worried about it. Yeah. So yeah. So as we were saying, the past students of St. Andrews are planning to host a reunion in Dominica on the 6th of July to the 12th of July, 2025. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Give us your thoughts on what your feeling is about this. What do you think about us having a reunion?
Well, I think this is a great idea. Networking has become one of the most important resources for the 21st century. So the idea of having a reunion, certainly that allows, it fosters networking. You're already doing that, but the fact that you would have more people enlisting for the reunion allow you to strengthen your network. And and that is the most important resource for the 21st century.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to What would you say to the person who say, for example, St. Andrews is non-existent anymore? So what's the point of having a reunion?
Um, you have a commonality in the sense that you had an educational experience, a shared educational experience, and it was an experience that helped shape your development.
Mhm.
So you have that. You also, I think, the very fact that uh, the alumni has kept St. Andrews alive means that they value that experience. They're proud of that experience. They see that as part of their history, part of their development. And why would you want to dispense of part of your history?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing, and the reunion helps to foster the growth of that.
Yeah.
And if you have a alumni that that has a shared agenda, then that can be of immense benefit to the catchment area from which these people hail.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the next question I wanted to ask you. But just as you mentioned, the commonality, we developed a logo. I wanted to maybe move on the side. I don't know if you could see clearly. We developed a logo that we could use for our past student association. We wanted to incorporate the St. Andrews crest, as you see there, the SAHS. The
Yes,
world that we use represents the fact that we have St. Andrews students practically in almost every part of the world right now,
yes,
who have become professionals in so many
absolutely,
different areas, and can
absolutely.
can contribute in so many different ways. And then
Yes,
the slogan we have, our foundation, our legacy. And I think that
yes,
is so profound. I think it's so deep. It just makes me feel good saying it, being a proud St. Andrews past student, because St. Andrews has really laid a foundation for many of us who are out there in the world right now as professionals in so many different fields. So
absolutely.
yeah, and so that's a legacy that we want to keep on, and that's the purpose why we're having the reunion.
And this logo looks very good, and
Thank you.
it reflects the St. Andrews logo, and it takes on board the interests of the alumni.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
you did mention something there that I wanted to just stretch a little more on. How can the reunion benefit the Northeast, especially the present high school in the area and surrounding areas? How do you think?
Okay. Well, I heard you mention some aspects of the reunion agenda, like having the clinics, health clinics, and all of those. Those are great things, and I fully support that. Those are tangible benefits that the catchment area can reap from the growth of the alumni as professionals. So that is great. Uh, Now, in terms of the new institution, the Northeastern Comprehensive is a different institution in the sense that it's a public school, it's government
Mhm.
managed, where St. Andrews was government assisted and
Mhm.
and Methodist managed.
Mhm.
So there's that difference. I noticed that the reunion is scheduled for July 6th to 12th. So the reunion happens when school is out, right?
Yes.
So that is something to note. Nonetheless, I believe that the reunion allows for an opportunity to to strengthen bonds with the with NEC, with
Mhm.
Northeastern Comprehensive.
Mhm.
So, and one of the enablers for that is the fact that the principal of NEC is from Wesley. She's actually a cousin of mine as well,
Okay.
although she may not know that. But she's from Wesley, so that allows that. So it's easy for her to be engaged in terms of interest in partnership. Now, talking about partnership, I believe the alumni can use the school, can use NEC as a conduit for sustainable benefits to the catchment area.
Mm-hmm.
Sustainable benefits to Wesley, to Marigot, to Kalibishi, Whitfoot Hill, Kalinago area, and Atkinson, right? But the alumni has to give very careful thought to how that is approached, because I don't think you can just call up the principal and say we want to be friends, or go to the school and say we want to be friends or we want to be partners. I think the alumni should give consideration to creating one, visibility and permanent interest,
Mm-hmm.
a permanent alliance. And some of the things I believe you can engage the principal on are participating in-service training for teachers. For example, a mathematician who's an alumni who is a mathematician could participate in an in-service training program for the school that focuses on improved methods for teaching numeracy.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, an alumni who might be a community, a college or university professor can participate, probably virtually again, in a session that focuses on improved methods for strengthening literacy education. And I highlight numeracy and literacy because those are two persistent weak pillars in the education system,
Mm-hmm.
not only for NEC, but for the whole of Dominica. And I can tell you, as someone who has analyzed figures for the whole CARICOM region and who has done extensive work with stakeholders from Belize to Suriname, these are problem areas throughout the region, literacy and numeracy, and these problems translate into performance in secondary education, performance at A levels, and performance at university. If you want to strengthen performance, say at secondary education in terms of strengthening learning outcomes, you have to improve the pillars of literacy and numeracy, namely performance in English and performance in mathematics. And so the alumni can assist the school by giving technical support in those two critical areas. And that support can be given virtually.
Yeah.
Now, you can also provide resources to the school that focuses on those areas, and the alumni can provide resources to the school that helps to leverage digital technologies in delivery of the school curriculum. So, for example, the alumni can assist the school with things like laptops. It can assist the schools with whiteboards.
Mm-hmm.
It can seek to assist the school with projectors, because these technologies would allow a broader range of students to benefit from the curriculum. Students who need to see more than they can hear. Students who need to hear more than just seeing. Students who need to use their fingers students who do not have enough support from home, students who come from homes that are not able to give them iPads and laptops. They can benefit from access to laptops at school.
Yep.
And I'm not only talking about goodies, but I'm also talking about technical support for teachers, because I've done a lot of work virtually. Some of my consultancy work is undertaken virtually. I've done sector analysis for countries virtually, in which I engage a whole range of stakeholders, from people at cabinet level down to foot soldiers. And in a similar way, the alumni, whether your people are an alumni is in Germany or Canada, United States, they too, or BVI or elsewhere, Antigua, that person can provide technical support to NEC by participating in training sessions that would enhance the capacity of the teachers. And once you enhance the capacity of teachers, you improve the educational product. And once you improve the educational product, you improve success rate. Once you improve success rate, you are securing a tangible benefit to the catchment area. As some people say, education is the poor man's ladder. If you want to graduate people from poverty, you need to give them education and training.
Yeah, that's right.
So the alumni can partner with NEC to enhance NEC's preparedness and capacity to improve the education product that it offers to students in our catchment area. The alumni can also contribute to their graduation ceremony by supporting a prize or prices to the best student in technology, the best student in mathematics, the student who had the most CXE passes.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I heard is, what's the connection between the St. Andrews High School and NIC? You know, so so if we could easily have a relationship as alumni with them, then we can actually facilitate them in those various ways as you were suggesting.
Absolutely, because the connection between the two institutions is historical. Is historical in terms of the evolution of education in the Northeast. So because when we write the history of secondary education in the Northeast, we have to consider St. Andrews, we have to consider Marigot Foundation High School, and then NEC. So the connection is a historical one, and so if you go to NEC, you're really like a stranger. So what I'm saying is the alumni need to take steps to partner with NEC. The alumni is that entity from the catchment area. It's an organization that can say, look, we are we want to be a partner with you, because we think we can offer support to you. We want to join your cause. But you have to say, this is what we are prepared to do. Or you can ask the question, how can we help you? And suppose we do this. And, but you can open the conversation by saying, how do you think we can partner with you? But the ideas I gave are ideas aimed at sustaining a more permanent benefit, a benefit that transcends the institution and actually assist the catchment area.
Yeah, we have a very important tool or database that what we have as we go about setting up the reunion. We have our past students filling that same contact information form that I invited everyone to fill. It's
Yeah.
right there on the Facebook page, and that information form gives also information on the profession
Yes.
of our alumni. So
Yes.
we do have information on who does what and who is professional
Eggs.
in what area, and those in that information we can actually use to facilitate the area in terms of helping them, in whatever
Absolutely.
way needed. Yeah. So we're really
Absolutely.
looking forward to a long-term
Well,
existence
oh yes.
and operation of our alumni. We just want the legacy of St. Andrews to live on. That's what
Yes.
the
And
transforming
the thing
force
is,
is.
the students at NEC, they are our relatives. They are our relatives. They are cousins. They are our successors. They are our people. They're not strangers. They are the people from Wesley. They're the people from Marigot. They're the people from Whitford Hill, Kalibishi, Kalinago. So we have an interest
Yeah.
in the upliftment and the continued growth of these people. And so the alumni can assist. The alumni can also even put together a fund that can support a needy student in terms of a scholarship.
Yeah. I think some of that has already even been done because from the past student association we've had, we have given some donation to various causes,
Yeah,
with St.
yeah,
Andrews and
yeah.
NEC also. Yeah. So, but very interesting, and you could see this discussion could go on and on because I mean there's a good forging of relationship there
Yeah,
where the St. Andrews past student and the NEC is concerned.
absolutely.
So we're hoping that everyone who can will support the reunion and also register, filling up our contact information form so we can build that very effective um, body that we could be of help to
Yeah.
to our general area. Yeah. So
And
yeah. So
I didn't
sorry. Go ahead.
mention participating in career day. Because students, one of the things I realize is students need a lot of guidance on career options.
Hmm.
And so the alumni, which is the big brother, you're talking about seasoned professionals, some of whom live in, just name the country, so very enlightened, very experienced, and the alumni can participate in career guidance talk, and those can be delivered virtually, because these little things, like telling a student how you can be a geotechnical engineer, what's a geotechnical engineer, and how it can give you a life, and how is an application of science that might just excite the student to or motivate the student to put more emphasis on mathematics and physics.
Yeah, I think that we have a program as part of the reunion that might be doing something like that. I know that, as you mentioned, school is out, but I think we were talking about some type of gathering at certain point in time where professionals from our alumni team will say what we do and what
Right.
what is involved in what we do, so
Yeah.
the students could have an idea, what this particular professions
Absolutely.
cover.
That's
Yeah.
it's so great because one of the things about education and training, one of the downsides of doing it in a vacuum is that the student doesn't understand the relevance.
Yeah.
When professionals in the field can link what they're doing in the classroom to their prerequisites for a program that will give them a life, then it is likely that the students will be more highly motivated.
Yep, yep, yep. So yeah, so we're hoping that's good that the reunion is really going to, start forging a relationship and start birthing some new things that we can give back to
Great.
our area. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, very great discussion, Mr. Edward. So, what are your closing remarks? What would you say as we wind this down, to an end? What else do you have on your mind or you had to say to us?
Well, I'm impressed. One, I'm quite impressed with the interest that the alumni has shown in keeping itself together and growing the networking. I mean, that's a commendable achievement. And I want to congratulate the persons who have been doing the work behind the scenes to get that going. Right.
Yeah.
I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate the many hundreds of you who, if not thousands of you, who have used your experience at St. Andrews as a stepping stone for higher achievements and improved professional growth. And that is also commendable. The fact that today something popped up on my phone, and it was about a young lady in Texas who's from Wesley. I have no idea who the person is, but it would appear to me that person is a graduate of St. Andrews High School, and from Wesley. And it just reminded me coming from a small village, coming from a rural high school, and the fact that you can achieve so much. It's commendable that so many people can be change makers. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Yeah.
What limits you are your aspirations. I want to close with a part of the St. Andrews history that you may not know.
Before you mention that, hold that thought. As you mentioned that, something just came to my mind. I've been working at Johns Hopkins for many years. I'm an IT professional, and just last week, was it 2 days ago? I got a call to fix a computer, and I heard the person's accent very much like our accent, not just Caribbean, but Dominican. Only to find out that young lady is from the Atkinson area, who went to St. Andrews High School, who is working in the OR lab in Johns Hopkins. I'm
See
like,
what I mean?
wow,
See what I mean?
it was so astonishing. And there are
Absolutely.
people all over who are doing great things, all coming from our roots, back there.
Yes.
That was the highlight of my week. I was so happy because I never knew I would meet somebody right from my same high school that's
Right.
working, as
John-
in the
at
operating room
Johns
at Johns Hopkins. Yeah,
See, they're all over.
I'm
They-
telling
they-
you.
They're all over, and I mean, we can only be very proud,
Yes.
as a people. And one of the things I wanted to say in closing, and you referenced part of it at the beginning of this discussion, the fact that St. Andrews High School was started off as an institution that inherited the premises on which the Londonderry Youth Camp was established. And many Dominicans are totally unaware that Londonderry housed the only regional skills training institution that the Caribbean has seen. That was at Londonderry.
Wow.
And one of the persons who was very instrumental in getting the St. Andrews High School established at Londonderry was a man whom you know very well as B.O. Robinson, Belgrave O. Robinson. And Belgrave, I can tell you that Belgrave was one of my mentors at St. Andrews High School. He helped to shape my philosophy on education. He was the most influential he was the education specialist on the board. And he was extremely instrumental in shaping my philosophy and my approach. We didn't agree on many things, but we always had these amicable discussions. And he was a pillar of support until I left the school, which disappointed him. But he was a pillar of support all along. And Belgrave Robinson had taught at Wesley. Belgrave was from Marigot. He had taught at Wesley. He had taught at Marigot. He rose to be education officer, chief education officer, and permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. He used his position in the Ministry of Education to help establish St. Andrews High School. And he was very influential in getting me to go to the school. Now, Belgrave Robinson, Belgrave, and he was the person who pushed and said David Edwards should be given the principalship. When Kent Osterhaus decided to leave, Belgrave thought that I should be the principal, and he supported me all along. I mean, he in preparation for the principalship, he arranged an attachment for me with the chief education officer in Barbados at the time, a lady called Mrs. Millington, and attachment with the School of Education at Cayville with a guy who was called Pro Vice Chancellor Goodridge at the time. And this man took an interest in the development of the school all along. And that interest continued even after I left. Now, Belgrave did not have a child at the school. In fact, his youngest son was my contemporary at first form in the grammar school. I'm giving this, and the Methodist Church took over the mantle of getting secondary school established. Of course, Belgrave was Methodist. And the establishment of St. Andrews High School allowed many students who would not have otherwise accessed secondary school to participate in secondary education and to benefit from it.
That's right.
And I want all the alumni to understand that. These were people who didn't have children going to school, but their values and their interest in the development of people motivated them to ease access to secondary education, to ensure that poor children could stay at home, attend St. Andrews, and return to live and eat with their parents at the end of the day. I am encouraging the alumni to emulate these values and to be driven and motivated by these values. In short, to give back to community and make a difference where you can.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. That was just so deep and so profound. I just want to take this opportunity again to say it was a pleasure chatting with you and seeing you after a very, very long time, you know, and you have always been, I would maybe say it this way, someone cannot think about St. Andrews High School, which is our foundation, without thinking about Mr. David Edwards. You know, your name is printed all over our past in terms of our upbringing, our education, and we want to thank you very much for the inputs that you have made in our lives. Me as a past teacher and also as a student. So thank you very much. We're hoping that we can have more interactions like this before the 6th of June 2025 as we continue to promote the grand reunion. So I would say to everyone who is listening to us, please stay tuned for more interviews like this. I'm interested to hear what an interview with Smiley will be like, because Smiley has always been also one of the pillars of the St. Andrews High School.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yeah. So I just want to thank my my Facebook audience and everyone else who has, you know, stayed with us to the end and listened to this very interesting interview. As you can see, there's a lot more that could be said. Please plan to attend the reunion. It's from July 6th to the 12th, 2025. We are going to just have a good time in Dominica. And also, don't forget to fill our contact information form, which you can find there on the St. Andrews High School Dominica Facebook page. Mr. Edwards, thank you very much. It was indeed a pleasure.
It was certainly a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed this, and all the best to the alumni. I hope to see you during the reunion.
All right. Would you be in Dominica around for the time?
Yes, I plan to.
Okay.
I plan to be.
Perfect. Right, then I
Okay.
think you'll be really looking forward to spending some time with you.
Okay.
All right. My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Good
Thank
night.
you very much.
Yeah.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Have a good afternoon, a good evening. And say hi to Annie. It was a pleasure talking to her today, this morning, when I
I'll
called
do
you.
that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Get ready, be ready, stay ready for the Grand Reunion 2025. St. Andrews High School alumni, stay locked in for plans, interviews, and events. Save the date, July 6th to 12th, 2025. Be counted and see you there. See you there.